and welcome to the inaugural presentation of the Simon-DeVos Prize for Philanthropic Leadership. We are thrilled and honored to be joined by so many friends, by our distinguished guests from the William E. Simon Foundation and the DeVos Family Foundation, and by our 2021 prize winner, Bill Oberndorf. Education reform and school choice have been an important part of the Philanthropy Roundtable's work for many years, and it's an honor to recognize Bill, who is a true champion for these efforts. Bill's philanthropic leadership has helped millions of children gain access to a quality education. Thank you for all that you do. For the last 15 years, it's been the Roundtable's honor to recognize principled philanthropists whose charitable giving has helped improve the lives of countless Americans thanks to the generosity of the William E. Simon Foundation. We are truly lucky to have such a wonderful and supportive partner in the Simon family. We are also delighted to announce that the Simon family and the DeVos family have joined forces to establish the Simon-DeVos Prize. Both of these families are incredible and influential leaders in the philanthropic community. Thank you for your support. We couldn't imagine a better way to carry forward this prestigious prize into the future. As we build a philanthropic movement that strengthens our free society, recognizing people at the forefront of this work is essential. Sharing their stories and the impact they are having in their communities highlights the critical role philanthropy plays in helping people and communities thrive. I'd also like to thank the 2021 Selection Committee for their time reviewing a number of truly outstanding nominations this year. Bill Simon Jr., Peter Simon, Pamela DeVos, Rick DeVos, Susie Kovner, Adam Meyerson, and Jim Perry, thank you so much for your time that you put into this. Now it is my pleasure to turn it over to the representatives of the Simon and DeVos families, Bill Simon Jr. and Dick DeVos, to tell you more about the prize and this year's winner. Please welcome them.
Hi, everyone. Elise, thank you so much for that very warm introduction. My name is Bill Simon Jr., and my father, as probably most of you know, was William E. Simon, who was such an inspiration for this award and to so many of us over many years. Dad was a man of many accomplishments, an Army veteran, a successful entrepreneur and businessman, and Secretary of the Treasury to 2 United States presidents, as well as a husband to our beautiful mother Carol and father to 7 of us siblings. My father was always grateful for the extraordinary blessings of liberty and opportunity that America offers. He believed in seizing the day, among other things, but impressed upon my siblings and me the importance of our Catholic faith in serving those in need. Helping those who are struggling to realize their full, unique potential is a significant and challenging endeavor. But my father was not a man to do things in a small way. At the same time, he was a practical person who understood very well the art of the possible. Over the years, this award has recognized so many exceptional philanthropists, true change makers, from John Walton and Sir John Templeton to Bernie Marcus and Eli and Edith Broad, among many others. Winners have come from various backgrounds and from different pursuits, but what they all shared is a desire to help people help themselves by advancing personal responsibility, resourcefulness, volunteerism, scholarship, and individual freedom, and faith in God. So this year, it's so fitting that we embark upon a great new chapter for the prize, and do so in partnership with the DeVos family, who also believe strongly in the principles and ideals that guided my father's approach to charitable giving. Ladies and gentlemen, it's indeed a family affair. Rich DeVos and my dad were very close friends for many, many years, and they respected each other for their various active lives that they led. And as former recipients of the prize, my friend Dick DeVos right here, his parents, Rich and Helen, believed in the power of philanthropy, the power to create social change and achieve genuine results, and they demonstrated it through their own extraordinary giving and leadership. And that's what the prize has always been about. And that remains true today, creating strong communities where every person has the opportunity to succeed. So here to tell us more and introduce the 2021 Simon-DeVos winner is my good friend, Dick DeVos.
Thank you, Jeff. Thanks very much, Bill. And on behalf of the DeVos family, we are thrilled to be able to take part in the first presentation of the Simon-DeVos Prize for Philanthropic Leadership. And we look forward and appreciate so much the partnership that we've enjoyed with the Philanthropy Roundtable in this effort. It's particularly special to be able to present this award to a friend, someone Betsy and I have worked very closely with and think so very highly of, Bill Oberndorf. Bill and his wonderful wife Susan's giving has been rooted in supporting the marginalized, the forgotten, sometimes referred to as the least of these. Nowhere has that fight been more important than in the fight for school choice. Betsy and I have had a ringside seat to watch Bill's work at the American Federation for Children, which has given opportunity to thousands and frankly hundreds of thousands of students and families, allowing them to exercise education freedom that would not have otherwise been able to, they wouldn't have had that chance. Betsy and I believe that education freedom is at its core a justice issue. The pandemic and the incredible learning loss suffered, particularly by disadvantaged students, has made the importance of this work and Bill's work far more urgent. And Bill has clearly risen to the challenge. Bill's also a supporter of the University of California, San Francisco, one of the nation's leading medical and research institution, where he shepherded a successful fundraising effort, bringing others along with him, as he always does. Some of us have been brought along regularly. Bill's an expensive friend. But he's been very involved in many ways. Like successful philanthropists, his efforts are deeply rooted to addressing challenges in their local community. Bill, Susan, and their family have been active in fighting poverty and homelessness, providing pathways to opportunity in the Bay Area for nearly 2 decades by supporting community groups, local schools, YMCA of San Francisco, Salvation Army, and many others. So to better, let's just take a look through a video of some of Bill's wonderful work across the country.
Bill Orbendorf is known for being one of the proudest advocates in the school choice movement. Bill has not only contributed financially to the movement of advancing education options for all students in America, but he works tirelessly behind the scenes. As a beneficiary of school choice myself, I'm really grateful to have him in the movement. Growing up in Jacksonville, Florida, I failed the 3rd grade twice. I went to about 5 or 6 elementary schools, and it wasn't until I was given a private school choice scholarship that my trajectory of life changed. That's when I got connected to organizations and people like AFC and Bill Oberndorf.
There's probably 4 million other Denisha Merriweathers across the country that have been directly impacted by Bill. He understands that families with means in this country, they have access to a great education. The folks that are left behind are the ones that are relegated to underperforming schools in terrible zip codes. Bill Oberndorf has been at the forefront of trying to change that system. You know, Bill is one of the rare people where the more we find out about him, the more you learn about the private works of charity that he's done, on top of the tremendous philanthropic contributions and daily passion and work that he puts into the school choice movement. It's really just remarkable how good of a person he is.
Bill has been, I think, one of the most impactful, one of the most influential volunteer supporters for the University of California, San Francisco, I would say in our history. We needed a world-class leader in psychiatry, and I turned to Bill and Susan, and they said, of course.
I wouldn't be standing here, I don't think, if not for the generosity of Bill Oberndorf. I think one of the things that's so remarkable about Bill as a philanthropist is a combination of his vision and his courage.
So one of the big issues that has plagued progress in mental health and behavioral health issues in the past is stigma. It's still here today.
My view, and it's one that Bill shares, is that the strongest antidote to stigma is knowledge. The more that we understand about these disorders, the less barrier there's going to be for people seeking help. And autism has been a great example of that, but we're seeing it now in depression, we're seeing it with anxiety. You can see it societally all around us as people are beginning to talk more about their experiences and not hiding that.
When I think of Bill, I think of someone that cares so deeply about this city and about this community, and he is always wanting it to be better. There is no one more passionate about San Francisco and about the Bay Area than Bill Oberndorf. The work of Tipping Point touches thousands of lives a week, tens of thousands of lives a month, and hundreds of thousands of lives each and every year. We are constantly trying to provide opportunities to individuals and families living in poverty throughout the Bay Area. I could walk you through numerous schools throughout the Bay Area that have been improved, become better because of Bill's generosity. I could walk you through housing placements where individuals are there because of Bill's generosity. I could walk you through job training programs where people have gotten $25 an hour jobs because of Bill's generosity. The list of individuals is countless of the lives that Bill has helped here in San Francisco and throughout the region. And for that, I will forever be grateful to Bill.
I couldn't think of anyone more deserving for this. He's a committed philanthropist, and he's dedicated to improving the lot of others.
I think Bill Oberndorf has been the fundamental change maker for so many millions of kids' lives. I can't think of anybody more deserving than Bill Oberndorf to get this award.
These are children who are the most vulnerable in society. These are special needs children. These are the kids that Bill's fighting for each and every day. These are the students who he's committed his life's work to helping. And those kids, the families we're really grateful to have him in the fold. I'm really happy for him to receive this award, and there's no more deserving person than Bill.
Once again, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And to see what Bill has done and the faces and lives that he's touched. Bill is not a guy that draws attention to himself, but he is a guy that points toward others and tries to help because of what comes from inside. It's from his heart. And would you join me in welcoming Bill Oberndorf to the stage?
So I just would like to add a very brief personal note. As the saying goes, there is family, and then there are friends, and then there are friends who become like family. And Bill, you are in that latter category. You are like a second brother to me. Our friendship goes back decades to our shared alma mater, Williams College, and we've collaborated on a broad range of endeavors over the years, whether it be business, philanthropic, or personal. Whatever cause you champion, Bill, you bring to it your characteristic enthusiasm and wisdom. And there has never been a more reliable partner in every sense of the word, nor a more loyal and thoughtful friend. Thank you, pal, for all you do together with your wonderful wife, Susan. So with that, Dick,
Thank you. Let's shake the hand, but I don't have glasses.
and now please join me in welcoming American Federation of Children board member Kathy Hubbard to the stage for a conversation with our prize winner, Bill Oberndorf. Welcome, Kathy.
Well, that was just breathtaking, I have to say. I'm a little emotional. You were the one who got the prize, but let me tell you, it was just so moving. Thank you, Bill, and congrats for that much-deserved honor. So let's get to some Q&A, because everyone here wants to learn more about you. First of all, let's start with one big penetrating question. What triggered you to become such a philanthropist? What motivated you to get involved in doing so many things, and at what age did you begin?
Well, first of all, I want to thank the DeVos family and the Simon family for this incredible honor. I just feel really humbled to be in the company of others who have come before me and been recipients of this award, and to thank the Philanthropy Roundtable. It's just incredibly generous of you, so thank you. Thank you all very, very much. Kathy, I think it kind of goes back to my Midwest upbringing. I've had a couple people from Cleveland come up and say hello today, and that was wonderful to see. But I grew up in a family of volunteers, and my mother, who just recently passed away, was always volunteering. And my dad did too. So it was the modeling of that. We didn't have a lot of financial resources, but whether it was the Site Center, the Cleveland Natural History Museum, or my mother's alma mater, Hathaway Brown School in Cleveland, she was always involved and engaged. So I think it's one of the things that we should be most proud of as a country, that people volunteer in this country like nowhere else in the world. And it is an absolutely wonderful thing that we should all treasure and make sure we continue to reinforce and foster.
And your father died when you were 11, as I understand. So even before then, you saw him do philanthropy. I mean, he was
Yes.
volunteering and
Yeah.
things, and that had to be tough at the time. So why have you gotten involved in education, and why the issue of school choice?
Well, I think we're always kind of creatures of our experiences. And by the time I was 11, we had moved from Dayton, Ohio, from Cleveland to Dayton, and then back. So I had gone to 4 different schools. I had gone to Catholic school. I had gone to different public schools. I saw a vast difference in how a public school operated in a place like Dayton and how it operated in a place like Cleveland. I think that was a vanishing breed of teachers in the 60s in a place like Dayton. It had already changed by the time I was exposed to that in Cleveland, and it was pretty shocking, actually. And I was very fortunate because my grandparents had saved money for me and my brothers, that we were able to get great educations. I was able to attend university school, an all-boys school in Cleveland from 7th through 12th grade, and that money took me all the way through Williams College and Stanford Business School. So it was their foresight that allowed me to have choice. And I also understood that if I hadn't had that choice, it would have been a very different set of circumstances for me. I don't think I would be sitting up here on this stage today. So I just felt that it was so important. It had such a big impact on me. And it had a huge impact on being able to have our children be in the right school setting. And as I got to learn more about this and think about it, I was early on asked to be on the board of University High School in San Francisco. It was still a very young school, so they only had parents as trustees. They didn't have alums who were old enough to be trustees, so I was invited on. And they had a program during the summer called Summer Bridge. And this was for kids who just were working hard and wanted to learn. And those kids would come for about a 7-week period during the summer. It was around 7 weeks. And they were taught by other students, college students, came and taught them. And they'd say, we learn more in the 7 weeks here than we learn all year long. And I said, oh my, there's something really seriously wrong going on here. So that's what got me going.
Yeah. What would be, Bill, your vision of success for education freedom, for the movement of school choice? What would it look like? Tell us.
Well, you heard some of this from those of you who were able to attend Betsy's session this morning. But I hope if there's one thing you leave this conference is with a sense of great urgency around this issue. When we look at what is going on in the country today, and COVID certainly brought to the light of so many people who didn't really understand what many of us in the trenches have been aware of for a long time. And there are good teachers out there for sure, but the leadership in the unions were not, they did not want those teachers back in the classroom, okay? And they weren't even promoting high quality online learning. And the tide went out, and for everybody to finally see what was going on. And the consequences are devastating, what went on, the loss of learning. We also saw juxtaposed to that modest tuition, private schools, inner city schools. They made sure those kids were getting an education. They made sure it was either online or in classroom, and they got up and operating because they felt a responsibility to do it. And they also, it was their charge. And just think if every medical worker in this country just said, we aren't going to show up for a year, or every delivery person in this country said, we aren't going to show up for a year. Well, that is essentially what happened in K through 12. And that is outrageous. I think people have a higher sense and greater sense of awareness. And the other thing is, I would hope that out of the George Floyd incident, if we're going to talk about systemic racism in this country, you have to talk about K through 12. It is an inconvenient truth. And we have to make sure that people are talking about it, because we can tear down every statue in this country. That isn't going to help one kid have upward mobility going forward. It is only through education that you have upward mobility. And we are the ones who have to be responsible for making sure that issue's not ducked.
Who have been the mentors in your life in philanthropy that you look up to, or that gave you advice, or?
Well, there are a lot of really wonderful people I met in San Francisco who were great philanthropists, like Peter Haas and the Levi Strauss family. They really helped me think through a lot of things. I'm still working closely with Peter's wife, Mimi. Then people like Chuck Schwab, Chuck and Helen have been just fantastic philanthropists in San Francisco. And I learned a lot from Warren Buffett too. And I had the good fortune to have meet Warren when I was in business school, when you could have lunch with him for free. And of course, Warren's gone on to become one of the nation's really great philanthropists.
Yeah, you keep good company. So let's move on to San Francisco and your involvement there. You've been involved in a number of diverse things, but what I would like to begin with is in higher ed, you've been so involved in the University of California at San Francisco and in the area of psychiatry and neuroscience and mental health. Why is this work important to you? Tell us more about that.
Well, UCSF is really one of the nation's best kept secrets. It is all graduate students. There are only 3,500 students at UCSF, so it's very different than any of the other 10 UCs. What we have seen is a tremendous dwindling of state financial support for these institutions. The state of California only gives UCSF 2% of its budget today. That's it. And it's a couple $100 million. And if philanthropy hadn't been started there in the early 80s by Ellen Magnan Newman, another great philanthropist, Ellen's still with us, fortunately, we have gone on to raise, we average around $500 million with no wealthy alums. These are grateful patients. So we just finished a campaign. I chaired the board there for 9 years, and we finished up raising $6.2 billion. And virtually all of that, I would say 85% of it went actually into research, into funding students and professors. This was not a big brick and mortar campaign. What is really important about this is $6 billion of that came from 100 individuals, and $200 million came from 100,000 people. So the Biden bill is going to sap philanthropy in this country. It is simply taking money away from people, mostly very generous Americans. And is government going to start running our museums and running our philanthropies? That's going to be the next thing, because there's going to be no money to do it. So this is a very serious matter. I don't think philanthropists have been speaking up enough about what this will do to charities if this goes through, but it's going to be very, very serious. I think it has big implications.
I can just see Bill right now heading up to the Hill, and he will be effective. So I think it's interesting to note that the whole issue of mental health is something that everybody's engaged in talking about more now. You're seeing sports people and you're seeing other people talking about it, but you seem to be, you're ahead of the curve.
Well, I think just about everybody in one way, shape, or form is impacted by mental health issues. And there is so much incredible work that is being done in the area. I'm really proud of what we were able to do at UCSF. And you saw Dr. Matt State up there, but we snagged Matt from Yale. And we were a backwater in that area. I think we were ranked like 30. Matt's been with us for 5 years, and we're now ranked number 5 in the country. So that's a huge move. And our neuroscience department is ranked number 3, and neurosurgery is ranked number 1. So this is a big effort. And Sandy and Joan Weil built a magnificent new building there, and the Pritzkers built an incredible child psychiatry area there. So we have so much going for us there. It's really, really, really exciting. And it's a field that just hasn't been funded well enough. Over the years. So I kind of like to gravitate towards things that are maybe a little difficult to do. But I think we're on the cusp of some absolutely remarkable work that's being done. And if I could say one more thing about this, because I think it's really the future for so many of our institutions, but UCSF is one of the great examples of public-private partnership. And I got to know and work with Janet Napolitano when she was president of the UCs. She's a fabulous person. So this is really, we're going to need to do more of this public-private partnership for our really important institutions in the country.
So you have also been involved, as we saw in the video, with Tipping Point and other organizations to try to help people who are in poverty and having all kinds of economic problems. What do you think are the best ways? What is your philosophy about lifting people out of poverty?
Well, I don't think there is any better way to lift people out of poverty than education. There is no other better way to do it. That said, and Susan really heads up she has her areas of interest too, like Stanford University and the Environmental Defense Fund, but she also heads up our local giving, and that's probably about 50 organizations that are San Francisco based that we give to every year. And we think reciprocity is important. These aren't real big gifts, but we think it's really important to try and help others who are trying to help our community. And I don't think we hold the metrics as high on some of those things as we do on others, where our giving's more concentrated. But I think it's really important to take that approach in the place where you live.
My question is, how important is it to give where you live? And you live in several places, but you give the most, it seems, in San Francisco and to your local organizations.
That's still home. I know people wonder why we still live there, but we do. And it has many wonderful people living there who really care and work hard in the community. And I think when you do that, when you get involved in the community, you all know this because you're all philanthropists, you just meet people that you otherwise would never meet. You meet them talking about things in a way that you otherwise never would. It's just a great way to be engaged and involved in the place where you live.
So sometimes it's been said that it is more difficult to give money away effectively than it is to earn it in the first place. Although I'd like to be in your position and earn it like you did and give that much away. So what advice would you give new donors to help them do philanthropy well?
First of all, I don't think it's easy to earn it, okay? But I think if you are fortunate enough to be in a position to be able to give money away, I would get very focused. And that is what Sue and I have done. We have about 4 or 5 key things we give to, we rotate through on those, although there are some constants, like AFC is a every year thing. And then, as I said, we have kind of a community fund approach. But we really go deep in those things that we think are really important. And so I don't think it has to be so complicated, bottom line. Find out, go with the things you are deeply interested in. Focus on those. We don't have any staff at all. It's just Sue and me. And we literally sit down, we talk about these things and decide what we're gonna do. And so you don't have to make it complicated, and make it joyful. It is one of the happiest things you can do, is to give money away.
I agree with that. At what age should someone really start if they're in the position to give money away? And what do they do if they're working a lot in their own businesses? And they don't have time, but they do want to give some and support some organization that they feel strongly about? Is there any advice you would give to young donors?
Yeah, just give to AFC.
I love it. So that's good.
But I think it's good to, Kathy, as you know, you give to people and you give to organizations, right? Mm-hmm. So try and find an organization that's doing something that you think really is important, and the people you think you can trust them to give your money and allocate it properly, particularly when you are earlier in your career and you really don't have the time to do it.
Right. So I'd like to ask you a question. You are amazing at persuading other people to support the causes that you believe in. You are just have an exceptional ability. How all of us in this room are often engaged in fundraising. What do you do? What is your secret sauce for persuading other people to join in the cause of whatever it would be, education or UCSF? Tell us how you go about doing that as you think about sitting down with someone and making your case.
Well, some people will say life is sales, right? So, but if you believe in what you are actually doing, you can go out and talk about it with authenticity if you really believe in it. And so I think that's the starting point. Mm-hmm. And you have to be prepared for people to say no, and that's okay. And you just keep going forward. And you never know when you're going to kind of hit the tipping point. It took us, almost 20 years to get to $20 million of money raised for AFC. I can't believe how much we were able to do, right, Kathy, with really a relatively modest amount of money. But we're going to get to from 20 to 30 a lot more easily because the work was good, the results were good, and I think people understand the need. So and also it's like I think with UCSF, what we did there is we had a board of 45 people. They weren't very engaged. And then we said, well, if you're going to be involved, you got to really get engaged around this. And you're going to have to make this a priority in philanthropic giving. You're going to have to come to the meetings. And we need strategic input. And we said, and you can opt in, but things aren't the way they used to be. And we went from 45 to 22 in a flash, okay? And then we were very careful and thoughtful about how we built that board. And that board ended up giving us $3 billion of the $6 billion that we raised.
Phenomenal. So the last question, that if you're willing to share with us, which charities will be the beneficiary of your Simon-DeVos Prize?
Well, it's going to go to, half of it's going to go to AFC, and half of it's going to go to University School in Cleveland, where I went and it had such a big impact on me. Susan and I gave an endowment, so we'll have 40 students fully endowed there, totally on a merit basis. So it's going to be based on their academic abilities as to whether they will be admitted, and we need to launch that. So we will be dropping 25,000 mailers in Northeast Ohio.
That's fantastic.
And I just said to the admissions
Yeah.
office, brace yourself, because nobody knows what's going to happen.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much, Bill, for everything that you've done.
Thank
for
you, and
all
thank
these
you
years.
all
What a great
very, very much.
philanthropist you are.
I'm really touched. Thank you.
Thank you.